Hey guys, back here today with an iPhone. This iPhone has seen better days, I'll tell you that, but it was sent to me by a customer who would like it to be fixed up. So it's an iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it's got a couple of issues. So first off, the screen is actually starting to pull away there. Okay, and I got a little bit of the backstory. There was somebody who changed the screen last, and I think I know already what happened because you can see right here and here there's a couple little metal bracket things that are supposed to be holding on the inside here, and they're really bent up, kind of bent out of the way, which is actually going to make it easier to get in here because the screen's already pulling away. So we'll just need to remove the two pentalobe screws from the bottom of the phone here, and we'll be inside. Now, every time you do a different phone, always check out, online or wherever, the configuration inside. Okay, because there's ribbon cables in different spots, and if you're, taking it apart normally, the adhesive is all there, and you're going to pry it up and use your little picks here and stuff to pry apart the screen. You're going to be very careful and know exactly where those ribbon cables are, or you could break one. Okay, and I'll show you another problem with this that includes ribbon cables. So we've got our little pentalobe screwdriver. There's two screws just on the bottom here. They're super tiny. You can barely tell what they are just by looking at it with the naked eye. But most of the kits that you buy off Amazon or wherever, they include free little screwdrivers with them. That's actually where I got this one. Okay, so we've got those out. Now, the bottom of the screen, normally you would use, a suction cup, a little bit of heat, and you'd use one of these little pryers here to separate the glass from the adhesive that's in there. But again, in this case, we don't need to do that. So I know there's a ribbon cable for the screen on this side. Okay, I've kind of done one of these before. So I'm going to open it this way, kind of like a book. Okay, and once we open it like that, you can see the ribbon cable I was talking about for the screen. Okay, and then up here is the other problem. Because the top was let go and it was kind of folding out on its own, there's a ribbon cable for the speaker, the call speaker. So yeah, when it came apart like that and it was opening up, it ripped that. So that's something we have to replace. And the main reason this phone came in is it's completely dead. So I was suspecting the battery. Okay, but we're going to have to do a quick test just to make sure. And the way we'll do that is we're going to use this Y-shaped screwdriver. Again, it's so tiny you can barely see the shape of it. I don't know if the phone will pick that up or not, but yeah, there's the ribbon connector for the screen is right under here. So we just have to take these 4 screws out. And once we get those out, be very careful. They're extremely tiny. One of these blue mats, you get them on Amazon for about $20. Super handy. All kinds of little compartments and magnetic spots for putting parts and whatnot, and even a little numbering system if you have to remember where they go. Very handy. All right, so let's get the last one out here. All 4 screws over there. We're going to carefully lift off this shield that we just took off. Put that there. Okay, and then you can see where the screen connector is. So we're going to very gently, just right under the this metal piece here right out of the corner, just very gently. Just lift up. It'll pop out, and away you go. So now, because this one is already broken, we don't have to worry about that at the time. But once we go to replace this module with the new ribbon cable, we have to remove these 4 screws as well and just take that little bracket off. But we can do that in a bit here. First, we are going to test this battery. So now the battery connector is right here. You can kind of see the cable kind of goes down here and into the battery. Okay, so same thing, just under one corner, just very gently lift up. Okay, and you can see we've got the cable here, and it just goes along the side of the battery here. So we can lift that up, and it's actually got, it's a very small connector, but because it's just for the battery, it's got 2 little connections. It looks kind of like there's more there. They're split in half. But basically, one side's positive, one side's negative. So we're going to hook this up to the Jess Verde adjustable power supply here. We're going to hook this up to a bench power supply. I'm going to run 9 volts at 2.2 amps because that would mimic the iPhone fast charger. Those are the specs on that. So I can set my adjustable power supply to that, hook it up, and see what we got. Okay, so we have the battery hooked up very carefully, just on either end of the connector there to the power supply. And let's go ahead and turn it on. We've got it set at 9 volts, 2.2 amps, which for the iPhone is the fast charge settings. So you can see it's charging. It's the battery's up to 2.3 volts now. It's rising. It's pulling the full 2.2 amps, producing 4.519 watts. So we'll see if this will be able to breathe any life back into this battery or not. And then we'll kind of know if it's going to take and hold a charge. Then we'll know if we have to replace it or not. Okay, so after leaving it for a while, the battery topped out at about 2.11 volts, which wasn't very much farther than when it started there. And started to kind of get a little bit warm. This cable here actually just started to get pretty warm. So kind of tells me the battery's not good. So we're going to go ahead and replace the battery. And at the same time, we might as well undo this ribbon cable. So again, let's just have a look here, see if my eyes can see that. Yes, it's the Y-shaped screws again. These damn things are so tiny. I've got a microscope here too that I have to use sometimes just to see this stuff, because these are super small. And with my old eyes, it's hard to see this stuff sometimes. But if you're big into electronics, and everything's getting so much smaller now, I recommend getting a microscope, because I did. It's an Addon Star. I don't remember the model number, but very good, very good. I highly recommend it if you're into this stuff. More than just the casual stuff, or you want to get into micro soldering. It's a must-have, absolute must-have. And the Addon Star on Amazon is actually been very good. Okay. Well, as I was babbling, I just took off the connector for the ribbon cable for the speaker. So on this side of the phone, okay, we just took off the 4 screws for that plate, put that off to the side, and that allows us to take the connector off the other half that was supposed to be right here. Okay, so we're going to replace the battery first, and then we'll come back to the screen and replace the speaker. It's the speaker for the earpiece you listen to while you're Actually, on the phone, which not many people do anymore. Okay, so I've got a kit. Bought a kit from Amazon. It comes with the speaker. It comes with the speaker. The battery, sorry. Comes with a new battery. Okay, it comes with some more tools. Like I said, every time you buy some of this stuff, they give you these little tools, little suction cup, little spreader, like if you had to open the phone for the first time. I've got about 1 million of those. And a couple other tools, a little spudger, a little pair of pliers or of tweezers. It's always handy to have an extra pair of those. Little spudger used for prying and scraping the glue off and whatnot. All right, so the way we're going to get this out is some isopropyl alcohol. So what we have to do is put some alcohol just in the seam here between the battery and the compartment. Okay, just put a little bit of alcohol in there, and it seeps down and loosens the adhesive underneath. So that will make it a heck of a lot easier to kind of pry out of there. So I just got to get a little dispenser, and I'll be right back. All right, so I got my syringe with just a hose on it. It's not a needle or anything, it's just a little fine tip. I'm going to get some isopropyl alcohol. Now, the higher the better. So this is 99% pure isopropyl alcohol. It leaves pretty much no residue. It will dry completely. So you just want to make sure it gets under the battery all around so that it starts to dissolve the glue, because it'll make getting that battery out of there 10 times easier. Okay, we'll let that sit for a bit, and we'll be right back again. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. So now we can try to get this battery out. So there's a little bit more of an open spot up top here. So we'll take the supplied tool and just lightly, being careful of anything on this side, lightly pry up. And you can hear already that adhesive just starting to let go. You can see the battery moving. So that alcohol definitely did its job. I'll try to pull that a little bit. And get another tool here just to hold it. Now, if you're using something sharp like these tweezers here, be very, very careful not to puncture this battery or cause it any damage, because this is a lithium-ion battery and it can do bad things if they get destroyed. I don't know if you've ever, or if they get hurt or damaged or poked or bent too far. I don't know if you've ever seen what happens, but it can be quite violent actually and cause big fires. There we go. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up and ready to put the new battery in, and then we'll move on. So we've got the phone cleaned up now. The old adhesive off. There's a new blue little adhesive tab that sticks down there, and it's got a couple of sticky areas for the battery. And now it's time to put the battery in. So we're going to turn it this way, and we're going to try to coax the ribbon cable gently into the configuration that it needs to go. Okay. Now we're going to very carefully line up the connector with the slot that it goes into. So again, you'll kind of feel when it stops wiggling, it feels like it's solid on, going all four ways, and it looks, pretty good. And then just give it light pressure and you'll feel it snap into place. If you press hard and it doesn't do anything, or it just resists, you don't hear a snap, you don't feel anything sliding into place, then kind of maybe try it again. Back up, realign, do your thing there, but just be very careful. So now we're going to set the battery where it's going to be living, right in its little spot there. We'll just go ahead and press it down. There we go. So the battery is in place. I don't know if it is charged at all. I imagine a new battery would come with some state of charge. So before we do anything else, let's go ahead and hook up the screen. Okay, and just do a quick test to see if indeed the battery was dead and that the new one is working. So let's just see what happens if we try to turn this on here. I'm not super familiar with using an iPhone, but I think I can figure out how to turn it on. Then again. Okay, well, let's hook up a charger and see what that does. See what happens when we apply some power to it. Let's see what happens when we plug it in. Because before you plug it in, it just do nothing. Absolutely nothing. So that's why we're obviously suspecting the battery, but well, I'm going to give this a few minutes, see if it's going to take some charge. Maybe that battery is just dead and it needs some little bit of life before it'll do anything. So should let it charge for a few minutes and we'll see what happens. Hey guys, I'm back. It's the next day, and I kind of had a bit of an issue yesterday. So when I was testing the battery, wondering why there's nothing coming in the screen, the phone did start to make a couple noises. So I figured there should have been something on the screen. So once I had a look closer, the ribbon cable here for the screen itself actually had a tear in it. So I put it under the microscope. I tried to scrape away some of the covering, the coating there, and looking at it, and those are super tiny wires. There's about 30 of them just in that half connection, that the half ribbon cable that would need to be repaired. It'd be almost impossible to repair that and have it be have it even work, never mind have it be reliable. So I had to order another screen. That's part of the reason it's the next day. So that came in this morning. This one, because we have to get rid of the camera, the speaker module anyway, we have a new one of those. This screen is now junk. So that can go off to the side. Let's get our new speaker module. Okay. And we can go ahead and put that on there. We just have to scavenge the screws, of which I noticed there's one missing. There's a screw right here that is not there. So whoever was in this phone last seems to have misplaced a screw. Okay, that one was a Y-shaped. The other two actually are Phillips. I'm not sure why they use different shaped, different heads for the screws in the same phone, even in the same place. I don't know. It's one of life's mysteries. Okay, so I'm just going to have a quick peek at this, make sure, because there is a speaker in here because it is there's a magnet in here because it is a speaker. So I just want to make sure that that screw was not just stuck somewhere. No, it's not. Now I have a bunch of extra screws. You can see the ones here. I've been trying a number of them, but I don't seem to have one that will fit that exactly. So we're going to hope that we can get away without that screw. Now it's in a pretty compressed area. It's pretty tight. So I don't foresee any issues, but let's just hope for the best here. Actually, we're going to leave that out of the way for now. Now, when we put this module on, it's not just a speaker. Okay, it's got a couple other things here. So you've got a proximity sensor for the front-facing camera, and the speaker itself. I'm sure there's something else here. I'm just not sure what it is. So we're going to just carefully make sure that we line up this proximity sensor, I believe, to this square here. There's this spot here that has to line up with that opening there. We've got this thing that has to line up there. So basically, you just have to be very careful when you're putting this together that you get all those pieces lined up properly. You know what, it might be better to do this upside down so it's closer to me. And I can kind of actually see where things are going a little bit better. Okay, I know you probably didn't hear that, but that was a bit tricky. And everything kind of just clicked into place after I had it all lined up, and then just a little bit of pressure there, and it all clicked into the spots where it should be. So that's nice. I feel good about that. Just make sure these are all lining up with the screw holes, which they are. So we're going to carefully lay that down. We're going to grab one of our screws. Let's move on. Okay, so we've got the camera, the speaker in place. We just have to, with the battery we replaced yesterday, that's all still hooked up and all good. Now we just have to put this phone back together. We replaced the screen, the speaker, the battery. That hopefully is all that is wrong with this thing. Okay, that feels better. Moment of truth. A new screen, new battery. Had the battery on charge for a little bit yesterday, so yeah, this thing better turn on. Start with just the power button, and boom, we've got an Apple, people. That is a good sign so far. That is a very good sign. Make sure it does a full boot. And then we'll see if we can dial and hear something coming out of the speaker there. Okay, oh, get back on there. Okay, so how do we do this now? I don't know anything about iPhones. Shut the alarms off. Oh Jesus. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming through here now. Okay, so no. Okay, what is that noise coming from up here? I can't tell. No, it doesn't sound like it's coming from up there. Can we go emergency call? That might do the... We're not going to dial 911, of course, but I want to hear sound coming from here so we know that speaker's working. Yes, it is. Cancel that. All right. So the phone works. Now what we have to do is put it back together. So the very first thing is to disconnect the battery. Okay, so we disconnect the battery again, shut the phone off. Now we're going to very carefully lift up the connectors for the screen and the speaker again. Okay, disconnect that, because the next step is to get rid of all this gross old adhesive. And the way we're going to do that is with isopropyl alcohol. Just a little bit around the edge here, let it sit. Then we go through with a couple of scraping tools, what else you might need, and just make sure this edge is really nice and clean. And then we can do final assembly, which includes putting these connectors back on, putting our shields back on, and putting this foam back together. Okay, I won't bore you with the cleaning process, but I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so we've got that all cleaned up. The edge is nice and clean there. Got all the glue residue off. So now it's time to add the new adhesive. So the new adhesives just come as a double-sided strip on a little template here. So you just want to make sure you've got all the different angles and the different shapes and sizes all lined up with the way it's supposed to go. And this one is supposed to be this way. So what we'll do is we're going to turn it sideways. We're going to start at the top. Make sure we don't stick to anything prematurely. Just want to make sure it's adhering to the frame. Okay, and then there's a little tab here. You can grab and then just carefully peel it away. Peel away the backing so that all that's left is the adhesive stuck to the foam. All right, now we can do the final assembly, which starts off with hooking up the screen and the speaker. Well, just like we did last time, we'll attach those ribbon cables. Okay, all done. Got both of those in there. There was 8 screws total in the 2 plates. We've got our module set. We've got our battery plugged in. We've got the adhesive put on. Just want to kind of go over everything in your mind just to make sure everything's done. And we're ready to do a final test before we seat the screen. So again, let's just make sure it turns on properly. Yes, it does. All right, so now when you put this back together, there's the 2 screws. Damn it, don't turn it back on. There's the 2 screws that go in here, the 2 pentalobe screws. But in the top here, these are the things I was mentioning earlier. 2 little tabs that have to hook onto little hooks inside the screen here. So we want to make sure that we get those down evenly and in the proper place. And then have this sit down properly. The other side didn't really stick yet. Okay, well, that looks like it seated nicely. I heard a click for those little tabs up top. I'm just gonna make sure those are hooked on. And now we just want to go around the screen. Gently press all the edges of the screen so that we can seat that adhesive. Okay. Now, as you can see, the back glass in this is shattered again, but the process of removing that back glass is not fun. I've done it before, and yeah, it's not the funnest thing to do. So rather than spending money on parts for something that's probably going to get broken again, we're just going to put it in a case. Okay, so we've got the phone complete. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed this one. Again, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, if there's anything that you would like to see me do, any specific things that you might want to see how to fix it, go ahead and feel free to drop a comment in there. Please like and subscribe. That would be fantastic. Really help me out there, build my audience, and yeah, just lot more stuff to come. I got some different ideas of different things to do, not just electronics, but some other stuff we can do as well. So I just gotta figure out how to film it. Kind of just getting going here. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.